All right, so 1.4 properties of radicals. We're just going to simplify the expression here. And so these go back to our property of exponent rules. The only thing that's different here is we've got fractions in our exponents instead of whole numbers. So the same rules apply that apply to whole numbers here with fractions. So let's get after it. Same base, what do? We add the exponents, all right? So let's do that real quick. So I've got x to the 1/2, and I have an x to the 3/2. So that's x to the 1/2 plus 3/2, okay? So then I have a 3, and then I have, I've got a negative exponent. What do I do with the negative exponent? Well, I do the reciprocal of y, so that's 1 over y, so that comes down into the denominator. Okay, so that's, instead of being y to the negative 5/2 in the numerator, it's y to the 5/2 in the denominator. Okay, so it goes from a negative 5/2 to a positive 5/2. I also have this y to the 1 here. Well, when I multiply things that have the same base, I add the exponents here. Okay, so let's do a little bit of simplification. 1/2 plus 3/2 is 4/2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So that's x squared. And then I have a 3. Okay. And then in the denominator, I have 1. And then I have 5/2. Same base, we add the exponents. Now, 1 plus 5/2. To add fractions, I have to have the same base, the same denominator. So what's the denominator? It's a 2. So to make 1 have a denominator of 2, I multiply the top and bottom by 2. So that's 2 over 2 plus 5 over 2. That's 7 over 2. So how much y do I have? I've got y 7 over 2. Okay? So, and your program online homework may want you to put the 3 first for your coefficient, may not. Just play with that until you get it to work right. When I start in rational exponent form, I want to end the problem in rational exponent form unless it says otherwise. Okay, so when we're simplifying, we stay in the form that we're given. Okay, so on that note, let's try something a little bit different. Let's take the cube root of x to the 7th times the 9th root of x to the 6th. Okay, so now we're going to use a little trick I like to do here. Okay, remember with your rational exponent, okay, that has a corresponding radical form. How do we remember what that is? We remember the little trick with the rider and the horsey. Now, for you that don't know what that is, let's think about this. When you're riding a horse, who's on top? Hopefully you are, otherwise you're getting crushed, right? So that horse is like 1,000 pounds, right? Okay, so the rider goes in the house and the horsey goes outside. So the cube root of x to the 7th, the rider goes in the house, okay? And the horsey's outside. Who's on top? The rider's on top of the horse. So 7 over 3, okay? So x to the 7/3 is the same as the cube root of x to the 7th. Same here. Who's inside? The 6 is inside. So the rider goes in the house and the horsey goes out. So this is x to the 6 over 9. Now that we're in rational exponent form and no longer in radical form, this is radical form. This is rational exponent form. We can use our properties exponents we did up here. Same base, add the exponents. So what is this? This is x to the 7 over 3 plus 6 over 9. Well, what do we know? Same base, so multiply top and bottom by 3. So that becomes 21 over 9 plus 6 over 9. That's equal to 27 over 9, which happens to reduce to 3. Oh my goodness. So what does this equal? This is x to the 3. How about that? All right, let's try one more. So we're just going to simplify again. 16 to the negative 3 halves. The first thing I like to do, I like to get rid of my negative exponent. Okay, so I have a negative 3 halves. Well, what do? I write the reciprocal of the base. So what's the reciprocal here? It's 1 over 16. So what happens? I get 1 over 16 to the positive 3 halves. Okay, so I want my exponent to be positive before I start doing anything. Now, recall the trick, okay? Okay, I've got a fraction in my exponent. So what is it? The rider goes in the house and the horsey goes outside. So what does that mean? Well, that means that I have 16 raised to what power? Who goes inside the house? The rider. The one on top is the 3. And then who goes outside in the barn? That's the 2. So you can put a 2 there if you want to, but square root, we don't have to put the 2 there. Okay, so square root of 16 cubed. Now, I want to simplify this for my online homework. And one little trick I could do, if I'm doing the square root, I can write this 16, how many times? 3 times. Okay, well, what do I know? Those can come out, right? And then what do I have left? I have a square root of 16, but hopefully we know that the square root of 16 is 4. So I have 16 multiplied by 4, and you can type this in your calculator if you're having trouble. 16 times 4, I think, is 64. So my answer is 1 over 64. All right.